One wonders if Abraham Lincoln would have written so modestly about his upbringing and surroundings had he known he would become one of history's immortals. Many figures, including those higher born or with much smaller accomplishments, have stretched, exaggerated, or outright lied about their biographies with barely a pang of guilt, including more than a few American presidents. But the 16th president was made of sterner stuff. Did he prevaricate, befog, or withhold elements of the truth during his career? Yes, but he was almost ensorcelled by the truth. Lying was an anomaly to Lincoln. When the press and public bestowed the nickname Honest Abe on him, it did not spring from sarcasm. Throughout his life, he remained understated about his genealogy. "I know so little of our family history," he commented to distant relative Solomon Lincoln in 1848, although he did know the basics. "I was born February 12, 1809, in Hardin County, Kentucky. My father's name is Thomas. My grandfather's name was Abraham, the same of my own. My grandfather went to Rockingham County in Virginia to Kentucky about the year 1782, and 2 years afterwards was killed by the Indians. We have a vague tradition that my great-grandfather went from Pennsylvania to Virginia and that he was a Quaker. Further back than this, I have never heard anything." Lincoln would have happily provided Solomon with more information, but owing to my father being left an orphan at the age of 6 years, in poverty, in a new country, he became a wholly uneducated man. Lincoln meant no pique with his father. That was just his reason for the lack of further detail. Thomas witnessed his father Abraham's murder by a Native American raiding party while building his new home. His mother, Bathsheba Lincoln, then took her children with her family to central Kentucky. From his teens, Thomas worked at any job that helped put coins or food on the table. As a day laborer, soldier, surveyor, and prison guard. He had a knack for carpentry. He was tall for the times, 5 foot 10 inches, big-boned and barrel-chested. Regarded as someone one would want on their side in a fight, Thomas neither looked for trouble nor walked away from it. He made his reputation as a peaceable man. In a photograph of him in later years, he wears a perceptible frown, while his clear eyes stare straight at the cameraman. Age has taken some of his dark hair and softened what was once a firm jawline. Surely Tom Lincoln was someone to reckon with. By 1806, Thomas was the owner of a 200-plus acre farm in Hardin County when 2 local merchants contracted him to build, man, and take a flatboat laden with their goods down the Mississippi to New Orleans. It was tedious and sometimes dangerous work, as flatboats manned by amateurs often sank. He returned in May, having bought himself a fine beaver hat and a pair of silk suspenders. Among his other purchases were ample supplies of linens, silk, scarlet cloth, buttons, and bolts of cloth. Not all of his finery was for his mother and sister. Tom, now 28, was in love. Nancy Hanks had been a small child when her grandparents, Joseph and Ann Hanks, took her from Virginia to Kentucky. Likely illegitimate, she was living with neighbors of Thomas Lincoln when they met. They were married at a simple ceremony on June 12, 1806. Thomas soon took her to Elizabethtown, where he had built a small home. His carpentry skills kept him steadily employed. The following February, they had their first child, Sarah, whom they called Sally. 2 years later, the young family was living in Sinking Spring, where Tom had bought 348 acres of farmland. They were cooped up in a 16 by 18-foot log cabin when the 4th member of the family, christened Abraham, was born on February 12th. The Lincolns spent just 2 years in Elizabethtown. Fallow farmland and the question of Thomas's ownership saw to that. He took his family northeast to Knob Creek, where he found more productive acreage, built another log cabin, and soon found demand for his carpentry skills.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.